Hi, I'm Abigail Mill and I'm a textile artist and I specialise in machine embroidery. I've developed this new range of appliqué kits for my customers who are keen sewers and have tried my sewing kits but have asked for something a little bit more adventurous and maybe a little bit more intricate to push them further. These kits are designed so that you can sew them by hand or a free motion machine. Inside the kit there's an 8-inch embroidery hoop, a pattern and instructions and everything that you need to make up the picture. And I'm going to run through each design individually so you can see how to make the pictures up. There are about a dozen designs at the moment in this range, ranging from florals to sea-themed ones, seals and fishing boats. And they're all available online at abigailmill.co.uk.
Inside the fishing boat appliqué kit you'll find an 8-inch embroidery hoop which you'll be using off and on throughout the process. All of the fabric that you are going to need to make up your picture. So there are strips here which are for the landscape, so for the sandbank and for the horizon in the sea. The strong stripe and the white are for the boat and you'll be cutting into those, and then the brown is for the fish shack and then various details. Alongside that, inside the kit, there's a very crucial piece of paper, and this is the pattern instructions. So you'll need to cut out this paper pattern with paper scissors and then work out which piece of fabric goes with each pattern and collate it together, pin them and cut round them. And in order to help you with that guide, there's also this illustration and instruction sheet. So the illustration shows you which numbers and letters go towards the fabric. Also, the other things that you will need to make up your fishing boat are, I use very sharp Fiskars embroidery scissors, paper / fabric glue to stick down all of the smaller pieces, and bog standard pins. And then also the cottons aren't included in the kit, so it's entirely up to you now to choose your own cottons to tally with the actual picture. So for this, I've chosen some blues for the sea and a variegated orange and brown, which I love a variegated thread, it's really quick and easy, and then a brown to go for the shack, and then a red around the details. I've cut out all of my paper patterns now and worked out which piece goes with which piece of fabric, and they're all labelled with letters. I just want to show you two things with this kit. This is part of the shack and these are part of the struts that go across the roof, and you need two of these, so I've just folded it over because I do like a bit of time saving. So if that's folded over, you cut them out two at once. The only other trickier thing to know is the stripe fabric that's included is really handy, and that's going to run along the top bar of the fishing boat. We just use the straight lines to cut it out, so I'm probably only going to need half of this piece. And really what I want to be doing is sewing it first along the white piece of fishing boat. It's only a rough cut, but that's all I need. And this is the white piece, and it's actually folded in half, so I want two pieces there for ballast really. So there's two pieces there that can go along the top, and I'm going to machine sew up and down and up and down and up and down on that one. So it's going to create the edges of the boat, and there's another little piece of strip of fabric to go in there. I just want to show you how to work out this strip. So on the pattern, this is roughly the shape that we're going to fold the fabric under, and the stripe goes along here. On the stripe pattern you'll also see that these lines, they donate a fold. So to create the curve of the boat, there's a little bit of fabric glue on there. I'm just going to pinch that slightly before it goes down on here, so I'm creating the arc of the boat, and then I'm going to machine sew over this. So you pinch that along there. A second strip tallies under that with a slight arc, back up again, and then here you'll see there's also a pinch, so I'm going to pinch that section there to create the shape, and that's already looking quite boat-like. And then if you can imagine that stitched up and down on a straight stitch, either by hand or straight stitch machine or free motion, and then that's the shape that we're looking for, and eventually I'm going to fold those edges under to create the form. I'm going to set the boat aside for a minute and show you how to layer up the base of the picture. So here we have it, that's the beginning of it, And so just use the blue background to start with. You've cut out all of your pieces. Some pieces will be cut to size already, so initially we need the sand fabric at the bottom and this pretty blue floral, so this is going to build up the sea there, followed by the horizon. Now the horizon is a really important strip actually, and we will be sewing straight through there in a straightish line just to hold the whole picture together, and it tends to be a little bit darker than everything else. When you squint tonally, the horizon of the picture should be really strong. And I'm going to throw a couple of pins in there and then show you how to build this up. So all these pieces are pre-cut to size, aside from the other bits and pieces that you've cut. Now the two other ones are the same pattern shape. One is for the sky and one is for the sandbank. And what I want to show you is the cut edge is obviously very straight, but I like to ruffle things up, scruff them up and get some texture going there. So I'm just quite vigorously fraying the edge of that fabric because I want a soft fluffy line, especially with the sandbank piece. Once that's done, I'm going to ruffle that up again, and I want to ruche it and pin it. So that's going to sit about there, and that's what the boat's going to sit on, but I don't want that to be flat at all. I'm going to use a scrolling stitch through the bottom third to keep the ruche in there and keep it fluffy and textured. So that's the beginning piece, and I'm going to pop some pins in that cloud along there. And that already has built up into a nice little seascape. And now we're ready to sew. So moving on, what I've done here, as I said, is that scrolling stitch in a variegated orangey brown thread. That's for the sandbank. The boat's going to sit on there. I've done the blue horizon, that's in the navy, and then a variegated pale blue through just to do some mark making for the waves breaking along the shoreline. And then in the sky we have the cloud, and I've just done some quite neutral swirls on there. I don't really want to make too much of a fuss about that, but the sky does need breaking up. So we are now ready to layer up all the pieces, and that's where I'm going to go back to my boat and just start working out where that boat's going to sit, and bring in our fishing shack and shack door. So this will really very quickly turn into a picture. So all these pre-cut pieces that you've made, you can start sticking and pinning them down. So the initial thing is to get the background laid up first. It's very tempting to put the whole thing down at once, but life really doesn't work like that. You need a bit more patience, I'm afraid. So I'd stitch around here in a dark brown, maybe do some sort of bolts across the door and a bit more detail in there. And then the red goes down for the buoy, and then the flag. There are other details. We've got the starfish to pop in there, and then the buoy on the boat. And then eventually, when I've fiddled around with this is the trickiest thing, but I will get there. I want to put some masts through there. So these are very thin cut strips from that stripe again at an angle. And you can play around with these, and then that's your wide one there. So basically those are all the pieces done, and then we'll do some seagulls in the sky. So I'm going to crack on there. This could be, if you're feeling nervous about this boat, I would hand stitch him down and make sure that he's in the right position, and machine stitch the masts in there, and then machine stitch everything else. Just want to show you the sewing that I've done through on the fish shack here. So I just used a variegated brown, actually run it up and across and back down, around the door details twice, doorknobs and latches, and then across these struts and straight up to the flagpole, which I have left slightly flapping there. And then I used the same brown, you could use red, and then go round the buoy there. And I've stretched it because it was quite delicate work and I didn't want it to all ruck up. I'm now going to take it out of the hoop and work on the boat detail. So that's come out really well, I'm happy with that. I'm just going to work out where the positioning of the boat's going to go now. So somewhere along the lines in there, and I'm going to hand sew that through. So here's the finished picture, and what I've done is hand stitch the boat into position, tucked in an extra white piece of fabric in there from the offcuts, and then also hand stitched a stripe, but the reverse of it, to finish the inside edge of the boat. I've stitched down just straight stitch for the masts, and then zigzagged some threads over, and also just put some 3 seagulls to break up that skyline. But like everything with all of my kits, this is just a starting point, so you can actually make them your own, add your own bits and pieces, buttons, lace, embellishment, and then add your own bits of design. You could work up the foreground and put some shells or buckets and spades and lobster pots. So it is just a starting point, then you can take it on and create your own picture from these. To mount it, I would actually just spray glue the black, and then every couple of inches do a tack straight through a piece of mount board. If you are interested in taking this further and learning more techniques, then do sign up to my online tutorial courses, which will be launched soon, and this is more advanced free motion applique.